What's up? What up, everybody? How is all doing? Hope all is well. And if not, hope you can get back on track sooner than later. So you can do your thing. You know what I'm saying? So I know style. Yeah, this history thing is deep, yo. And we're gonna get right back into it for another few minutes. You know, I don't like to do long videos, but yeah, before I get going, I'm saying, come on, can you give a like to that video? I'm just saying. Like, share the video, let people know what's going on. You're holding the vibe with CLP over here. Appreciate that. Hit that like button, subscribe button. Appreciate that. Now, continue with the show, right? It's like, you got to think, right? This is for the last 6, 7 centuries, though. All of this history I'm breaking down that took place in the last 7 century. And we all know a century is 100 years, you know? Because even if you look at our last 100 years, 1920 to 2024, look at the last 100 years. You see how whatever the government is doing, it takes a little bit of time to play out. But if you pay attention, they're making steps for like 10 years ahead. You know what I'm saying? They're playing a silly game with people, but if you're not paying attention, you won't see the game they're playing because this is our reality. And our reality is the Matrix game, you know what I'm saying? I've seen this play with Kamala already. I've seen it with Obama. So I'm gonna ignore that play. You know? But history is like it took them a couple 100 years to really get their life in order, their situation together because after, right, we allow them to come in and set up shop. Mhm. The colonies started to grow. And like I said, it became states. You know what I'm saying? And they had their militias with them, their army with them, and also backing of England with them. You know what I mean? So you got to understand that they didn't care how you felt, didn't care how the apples were, living their lives, didn't care about the apple rules, about the apples, period, or the Indians per se. They didn't care about no such thing. So they did what they did, and even after a couple 100 years, right? They were fighting amongst themselves on the land. Because remember, in the France also was part of the colonizing business. I had lands here, the English, the Spanish, but the Spanish more so was like South America. I noticed more of the South America, like all those continents, Caribbean, and all of that. And then the North America and Central America is where French and Canadian Canada was. I don't know how much why we don't hear much about the Asians. I know they were in play, but I guess I'm getting the history from the victors, who's running the matrix, who's running the game right now, right? So it took them a couple centuries for their colonies to grow and their states to grow and to combine together. And each state had their militias and their armies, and they all combined together under their one accord so they can take over and like extend their control. Go out west. You know what I'm saying? They had wars with France. I think that's how Louisiana got released from French control. You know what I'm saying? So, but can you imagine, that's what they did in their land, in Europe. They fight and they battle each other for control and assuming control over their land, and they brought the same thing here on top of us while we're living. I don't want to say they say we were savages and all of that, but I don't want to say we're savages because if we were savages, how come we let people come in? You know what I'm saying? How come we let other peoples from other worlds, other continents come in? You see the boats coming in, right? If we were savages, won't we attack these people? Won't we demolish these people? No, we allowed them to come in, and they came in and set up shop. They build their colonies, assume whatever they had to assume, but then They had their government and the laws as well. But guess what? We had our government and laws. You know what I'm saying? We, as in the Aboriginal peoples, the people of the land, the natives that were living there, had their rules. But these people disregarded it. Now, this is a case for humanity. When you really think about human beings and lives in general, it doesn't matter what language we speak, it doesn't matter where we are in the map, it doesn't matter where we live. But shouldn't each of us respect somebody's space, man? Shouldn't human beings, that's like a human law? I'm right here, this is my space. Don't come in and infringe. Isn't that like life laws? Apparently, the Christian thing don't have no faith. Or apparently, there were no laws. Or apparently, these people don't respect no laws. Now, they spread out their beliefs and they change everything because remember now, we all speak English now. So they're the victory. They're the winners. You know? But I'm just doing a deep dive in history and making sense of the stuff that they push out there. Like it was right. You know? I hear Rod Hazen say we lost the land and everything, and I hear Rod Hazen saying all of these things. But when you look at humanity, these people wasn't right. They did what they had to do for themselves, though. So it makes you wonder about this journey and this experience. All the high powers and all the higher sources. How come? Think about this for a second, people. Europe, Asia, Africa, the Americas, everybody was living. Everybody had their own space. You know, you heard all the stories what went on in Europe. You hear all the wars and the fighting against each other, and they couldn't live peaceful when you see what happens in Europe. All those war stories and this and that. And they brought the same thing here. Now in these times, right, they're teaching us this shit and they're telling us what happened and they want to make us look like them. They're telling us like we were savages and fighting each other, we couldn't get along. I refuse to believe that. Because they the one that dropped the bomb and came on us and rushed us. They said they want our land, either give it up or fight. And we fought and fought. And then they said, let's piece it up with treaties. And you know what happened with those treaties? They did not honor that shit because they came back with their own. Get the treaty, let's go. You know what I'm saying? Give me that. Get up, get up. And now the natives are relegated to the reservations in certain places, right? They're set up. But the Abos still running wild though. The Abos are still running wild, you know what I'm saying? Because they're the trendsetters of today. You know what I mean? But I say the natives because look what I said in the first video. When the Europe and the Asian peoples and the African peoples kept coming over, they assimilated and mixed in with the Aboriginal peoples. And they became the natives. Because most of these people mixed in with those different groups and different tribes and speaking their language, their beliefs, and following their way of life. Because, right, if they were the rightful owner of the land, so how you going to tell them how to move? But at the same time, though, there were always those groups of people that never mixed in and always kept them patriotism. And eventually, those are the ones that, you know, gathered up all of the colonies to come together and become a country and shit. You know? I'm breaking history down, but this took hundreds of years, a couple centuries, man. 300 years of war and fighting. And with all the war and fighting against us, then all the different nations fighting against themselves to assume control of the land. And I'm like, yo, what the hell? We ran, this is our land. How come y'all? But we were peaceful people, so they were able to do that. You know what I'm saying? I can say what y'all want about the natives being savages and all of that, but I don't believe that. Because if they were savages, y'all wouldn't be able to establish y'all colonies, y'all settlements, and grew like that. Now, 600 years later, we're sitting here like, damn, and I mean, look at what it turned out to be. But this is a humanity thing. You gotta look at humanity and what's life's worth. And apparently our life didn't worth nothing. Because even when they paint the picture of the slave trade and stuff like that, that's when people didn't life worth nothing, but they were the workers, right? They were getting all the work, so how can they worth nothing, but yet we're doing all the work? But at the same time in history, there's a lot of misleading, you know what I mean? A lot of not understanding what the slave thing were. Because remember, that indentured servant as well. And that's when you voluntarily sign contracts to do work for years, labor for this and for that. You know what I'm saying? And at the time as the colonies were growing, the tribes were growing, the nation were growing, like everybody were growing and building. The Europeans keep coming over now. They're bringing all their rules and shit, you know? And that's when the way of life started changing. John knows that. There's so much to get into, but I wanted to point out on this episode that it took a couple centuries, 700 years to get to 2024. And just look how stuff goes, subtle. Stuff don't just drop on you bomb. They slowly build it up. And with all the propaganda and everything else. John was style. Yo, I'm gonna catch you on the next vibration though. I wanted to keep this one short, don't talk too long. You know what I mean? But this is like the third episode of my series, man. Let's talk some history, you know what I mean? And we're gonna get deep into it too, because remember, the natives had their rules and their laws, and that's what they gotta understand their way of life. But they had their rules and their laws in place. It's just that when these colonies got big enough and they came together as a union, they disregarded everything. You know what I mean? I know stop. CLP, we out, and I'm gonna catch you in the next vibration. You know what I mean? Talk to y'all. It's all love.